Hey guys, it's Miss Jamie. I am back once again with the 9th chapter of Hello Neighbor, Missing Pieces. I'm very sorry if you've been waiting. You've been very patient. I'm sorry if you've been dying to know what happens next to Nicky and in chapter 9. I've just been super busy with everything opening back up and all my jobs starting again, so I apologize. But we're back now. I'm going to be doing them regularly, and alright, without further ado, we're just going to dive right back in. The last thing that we read about was, I don't know if you remember, when Nicky and Aaron went to go get that sign. They stole it and it was like sort of an adventure. And then when Nicky got home, he sort of realized that, despite everything, Aaron is a true friend to him. And Nicky doesn't get many true friends because he moves around a lot. So I guess he just recognized a newfound appreciation for that person in his life. But I think he's still curious about what the heck is going on with the town and with his family. So, alright. Chapter 9. Exposure's a little bad, but that night, I lie in bed waiting for sleep to come, but my stomach is churning. I don't know if it's the tacos or the fact that my conversation with Aaron brought my brain back to the Golden Apple amusement park. I just can't seem to stop imagining what it was like when that roller coaster car went rocketing off the tracks into a tree. I must be the only 12-year-old in the world who keeps a newspaper clipping of a tragic accident by his bed. It's become a habit to reread the same half article at night, skimming it for clues that I might have missed before. I haven't had a good excuse to get back to the library at the university since I hitched a ride with Mom last time, so the second half of the story is still a mystery. Maybe I'm waiting for it all to make sense. Maybe I don't actually want to know how the story ends. I think about how scared that little girl must have felt when the other people on the roller coaster thought what the other people on the roller coaster thought when it detached. If they even knew, or if they just kept rolling along wondering what everyone else was screaming about. I think about what my parents would have done if it were me. The only time I've ever seen my mom cry was when Grandma died. I wonder if she'd cry that hard if I died like Lucy E. I've just accepted the reality that I'm probably going to throw up when a scream cracks the night and launches me from my bed. I rush to the window and press my forehead against the glass, looking for what could have made such an anguished sound. It came from across the street, I'm positive of that. And though it sounds totally nuts, I'd swear it sounded like Aaron's voice. I'd never heard him scream, and anyway, what would make him do that at 2 o'clock in the morning? But there was something in the tail end of that wail that sounded so familiar. I stare out the window for so long that my breath starts to fog the glass. Nothing follows that one unearthly sound but a swath of silence not even pierced by a yowling cat or a skittering leaf. Maybe I did fall asleep, I tell myself. I'd been so wrapped up in thoughts of morbid accidents and crying moms that I dreamt the scream. I'm not satisfied with that answer, but my stomach is starting to churn again, and I'm getting sweaty with my breath bouncing off the window into my face. I open the window to get a little fresh air, and the silence of the night is once again interrupted, this time by the faint but undeniable sound of music. Ice cream truck music. Across the street, light glows from the crack under the Petersons' boarded-up basement door. I start to have flashbacks of that night I eavesdropped on the side of Aaron's house, the night Mr. Peterson lurked outside my window in wordless warning. But a memory more powerful than that is driving me now. The memory of that scream that woke me up, but somehow didn't stir the rest of the neighborhood, just like the music didn't. I fight back the voice of logic begging me to stay in my room and not pop the screen from the window frame. The trellis is beginning to get rickety from all this climbing, but I don't care about that now. All I care about is getting close to the Petersons' house. Maybe I can just get a sign from Aaron that everything is okay, that whatever's going on in his basement is totally innocent. That drilling, the music, The screams, they're all just what? A play rehearsal? A murder mystery party? All just some comical misunderstanding invented by the short kid across the street with grubby shoes? The dew from Aaron's lawn soaks my feet, and I stand underneath his window, the crooked oak tree releasing tiny droplets onto my head. I scour the yard for a small pebble to chuck at Aaron's window, and after a few failed attempts, I land one right on the glass. I flinch at the sound, then wait for him to wake up and tell him to leave me alone. Or tell me to leave him alone. Nothing would be more comforting to me right now. Instead, Aaron's room remains dark, and the music from the basement cuts in and skips out like on a record player, setting my nerves further on edge. Come on, I plead with Aaron under my breath, giving his window one more try, but this time I throw the pebble a little too hard, and instead of a ping sound, I hear a pop, and then a crack, and I realize with horror that I have splintered Aaron's window. The music in the basement cuts off, and the footsteps don't just fall evenly on the stairs like they did last time. Now they pound up the steps, thundering the shortest warning before the jingling of keys signals the furious unlocking of the deadbolt securing the door. Frantic, I realize that this time I won't have a chance to get across the street undetected. The house offers no place to hide, no bush for cover or garage for shelter. The only place to go is the backyard. I regain movement and bolt for the backyard with the kind of adrenaline you hear about in moments of crisis. Evidently, I have more power in my skinny legs than I realized. I lunge for the only cover I can see, a pair of oak trees directly behind the house that make for the worst hiding place ever, but I don't have a choice because the keys are rattling faster now and the door is starting to move from its frame. Just as I pull myself behind the trunk, a loud bang on the basement door makes my heart catch in my throat. I peer through the leaves and realize that one lock is still in place, and rather than patiently unlock it, whoever's behind the door has given up trying and is instead throwing himself at the door. Flinching with each violent knock, I watch as the door bends behind the weight of the attack, the tiny crackling of splintering wood sending a chill through my paralyzed body. With one more vicious thrust, the last stubborn lock falls to the grass, and a hulking Mr. Peterson falls through the doorway, red-faced and sweating, with a foam of white spittle gathering at the corners of his mouth. I hang onto the trunk of the oak tree and plead silently with my heart to stop pounding for fear that the animal that has taken over Mr. Peterson will hear it with his supersonic hearing. I'm quaking so hard I can see the leaves above me trembling, and I pray not a single leaf drops. I watch in terror as Mr. Peterson skulks across the yard in search of the sound that interrupted his work. I can hear him panting from here, and I begin to think the craziest thoughts. How my last meal would be tacos. How disappointed Mom would be in me for using my powers for eavesdropping. How I'll never have gotten to test out my audio manipulator. How through this entire horrific episode, through the drilling and the window breaking and the door destroying, Aaron and his family have managed to stay quietly tucked into their beds, unaware that the boy across the street is about to be annihilated by their psycho dad. I watch as Mr. Peterson crouches to the grass and examines what I can only guess are the footprints I left in the dew. And that's when I notice that there's a grave. Well, I'm not sure it's really a grave because there isn't a dead body in it, but it definitely looks like a grave. Mr. Peterson stands slowly, tromping his way across the lawn, and now his demeanor has calmed a bit, as though the animal inside him has been suddenly tamed. He picks up the shovel and starts filling in the grave, even though I swear there's nothing in there. Just an empty, grave-shaped hole that I assumes he buries trespassers like me in. 10 minutes pass, then 20, then 30 as my legs feel weaker and weaker. Suddenly I come to my senses as the shoveling stops and Mr. Peterson steps to the sidewalk and then to the middle of the street, staring up at the window to my room, looking for signs of life there instead of behind him in his own tree. I swallow to wet my dry throat, but it's no use. I've sweat out every ounce of moisture from my body. I'd pee my pants if it wasn't already dry as a desert. Then, just like last time, Mr. Peterson satisfies whatever compulsion he had in staring down my bedroom window, and once again he cuts a path through his lawn, stopping one more time to stare at the dented grass by the side of his house. I'm positive he's about to see me. Even with the trunk providing cover, there's no doubt he'll spot my stupid teal shirt through the camouflage. I brace for my fate, the adrenaline no longer providing me strength. Now, all I can do is wait in paralyzed silence to be discovered. But Mr. Peterson doesn't look up. Instead, he walks calmly, almost serenely, through the basement doorway, closing the door with care and methodically locking the bolts that remain in place after the carnage. I wait until I'm sure it's not a trap. I wait for the music that doesn't start up again, for the sounds of shoes that don't touch the basement steps, for the cracked window in Aaron's room to open. I wait for a single sign of life in the house that was moments ago alive with the fury of a single hulking monster. Then I come out. I dread climbing the trellis and consider sleeping in my backyard just so I can hide. When I do make it to my room, I push my dresser in front of the window as a barricade. When I wake up the next morning, I feel braver somehow. Maybe it's the light of day creeping in around the sides of my dresser, or the soreness in my arms that remind me I had enough wits about me to hide behind the tree. Whatever the reason, I lean against my dresser and return it to its place, staring at the house that had terrified me so badly under the cloak of midnight. "You're not so scary," I tell the house and the man inside it, and I almost believe myself until I flinch a little too hard at the sound of scratching just below my window. There, tucked into the trellis propped against the exterior under my bedroom window, is a folded piece of yellow notebook paper, its edges fluttering and scraping the siding in the morning breeze. Retreating back to my room, I rummage through my box of gadgets until I find what I'm looking for, a handy little tool I invented after realizing the tangle of vines on the trellis was where Aaron would be leaving me all my secret messages. I finally find it, the grabber I customized using the extender from a pool broom and the lever from a pooper scooper. Then I return to the window, carefully lowering the grabber and retrieving the paper from the vines. But when I unfold the paper to read its message, I feel even worse than I did when I woke up on the floor. He's getting worse. I'll show you. I know the lighting's not great. There you go. I look out the window across the street and wait for the messenger to make themselves known, but I know it's no use. It appears they left behind more than a note, though. From the ground, a glittering catches my eye. I squint to see what it's about, but the sun reflects off its surface, and I can't make it out. "Guess I'm climbing you again after all," I say to the trellis, which groans under my weight. At the bottom of the trellis, tangled up in a thick knot of vines, is a delicate gold chain, a tiny apple charm dangling from its links. A bracelet that I've seen before. Something in my stomach hardens as I flash back to another apple, this one made of bronze, dancing in a fountain in the middle of the square. Dancing around the picture of smiling Lucy, her wrist decorated with an identical golden apple charm bracelet. I turn the bracelet over in my hand and realize there is an inscription on the back. Golden Apple Young Inventors Club. I look up and down the street, but it's no use. Whoever left me the bracelet and the note is long gone. "You're not far, though, are you?" I say under my breath. I look directly across the street at the Petersons' house. Something tells me you're watching me right now. And that was chapter 9. Whew, that kind of gave me goosebumps when he got the note that said he's getting worse. Ugh. I wonder what's going on with Mr. Peterson. Is he a monster? Is this going to turn into a fairy tale? Or is he a crazy murderer? abusive. I don't know. This book is pretty spooky, so I'll be posting videos more regularly again. So tune in soon for chapter 10, and come visit me at the library. It's open again, and we're super happy about that. So come in, check out some books, check out some movies, or if you're not sure what to get, I'll help you. All right, guys. Have a great day.